episode 7 of Couchside Sports. As always, I am Matt Parnell, joined alongside by Lucas Fanslaw. How you doing, Lucas? Good week?
I'm doing good. I had a good week. End of the playoffs.
The playoffs are officially done, and we're going to talk about that today. Get up to anything special? I played a couple rounds of golf, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah, you had a good round?
Yeah, I shot an 82 and an 83, so that's kind of trending a little bit better at the local course, though. So it's like, yeah, an 83 there. It's like I know my way around there, right? So
Totally.
But
was that at Sunnydale?
that was at Sunnydale. Shout out Sunnydale Golf and Country Club.
Nice, true member plug right there.
There you go.
Boys, give him his membership for free.
That would be nice, eh?
That would be nice with the
Little
local
upgrade.
plug to all
We
10
should
of
get you one as well. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing
what
here?
the
We don't
fuck
sell
are we
ourselves
saying
short
here? Let's get some sponsorships here.
That's right. Yeah, big week in sports, obviously. Excuse me. The Florida Panthers back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, the first time since the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they did it in 2020-2021. Third time this, I guess, century, if you want to talk about starting in the 2000s. Pittsburgh Penguins won at 2016 and 2017, and then you had Tampa, as I said, and now the Panthers join alongside them. Before we dig into the series itself, I have a question for you regarding the Panthers now that they've won back-to-back cups and been in 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals. Are they a dynasty?
I think so. I feel like this is a pretty fair dynasty meter.
I think so as well.
2 championships within 3 years.
Yeah, and back-to-backs.
And I feel like even though it's obviously a loss, bonus points for 3 years back to back for just being there.
Yeah, and that first year that they were there, there was a lot of injuries on the team when they got to the finals, and so it wasn't their true selves. You know, like last year they showed how good they could be, and this year they were, in my opinion, even more dominant. I honestly don't even think that series really deserved to go to 6 games. I thought it could have been done in 5.
Yeah.
I think you give the Oilers game 1, they won it in overtime, sure. They were definitely the more dominant team in game 1. But after that, like, I think the Panthers just kind of put the foot on the gas, and then the Oilers just couldn't catch up. I mean, McDavid didn't get his first goal, I think, until game 4 or 5.
Well, no, the Oilers were playing in survival mode the whole time.
Totally.
Like what we were talking about. They never had the 3-goal lead. They never had a 5-1 finish. They were playing for survival mode every single game.
Yeah, and I saw a stat there, and it was a new record. The Panthers have the most minutes led in a Stanley Cup Finals.
Wow.
And I think it was they led the series 233 minutes of the 6 games, and the Oilers had led, like, I want to say less than 30 minutes. Like, it wasn't.
That's crazy.
It wasn't much. And I can't remember who they eclipsed for that record, but whoever had held it before had done it in 7 games.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, so throw an extra
a whole
game
extra
in
game there.
Yeah, crazy.
That's wild.
But let's kick it off then with the Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. You want to talk a little bit about Game 6? I know you didn't catch all of it. You saw like the condensed highlights and whatnot.
Yeah, disappointing Game 6. That's all there is to it.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, I watched the whole thing. First 4 minutes, the Oilers came out flying. They were hitting. They were the better team in the first 4 minutes of the game.
4 minutes?
First 4 minutes, that's all it took. And after the 4th minute, Sam Reinhart scored his first of 4 goals. And that goal the first goal was such a momentum changer. I mean, at that point, it was like, ooh, like this could get ugly.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's only 1-0, but it was like the Oilers had the Panthers where they wanted them. And the Panthers score that goal, and it was like just a flip of the script. It was like, okay, the Panthers are in this now, like, and they just controlled the rest of the game, in my opinion. But that first goal was, I would blame Bouchard. What ended up happening? Puck comes to Ekholm. He's like far side of the goalie. If you're like watching from the broadcast angle, he's at the far side circle. He makes a pass up to Bouchard, who's on the near side blue line of his own zone. He kind of fumbles the pass. And then Reinhart just like picks his pocket, goes down, beats Ekholm on a deke, and then scores. Like,
rough.
Just it was just a bad breakdown by Bouchard and Ekholm for that matter. The pass that he sent Bouchard wasn't great to begin with.
Yeah.
But still, like, you can't just turn the puck over there at your own blue line like that. Like,
And it just blatantly caused a goal like that.
It just caused a goal. And like that's what I mean by I think the momentum changed. It wasn't like this like fluky goal that bounced in. The Oilers like, like they can just brush that one off. It was like, oof, that's deflating. Like our best defensive pair just got absolutely burned.
Yeah.
And then the second goal was also Bouchard's fault, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. He was at the opposing blue line this time. He turned the puck over at the Florida Panther blue line. Tkachuk picks it up, makes a pass down the right side. Florida gains the zone, pass back to Tkachuk at the top of the slot, and he buries it. And it was a goal off the rush that was completely because of Bouchard fumbling the puck at the opponent blue line.
That's brutal.
So that made it 2-0. That was with 47 seconds left in the first. And at that point of the game, this might sound ridiculous, but at that point of the game, 2-0, Panthers scoring in the last minute, I was like, this game's over.
Yeah.
Like it was just done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, much the same in the second. It was, the shots were 10-9 Edmonton, but it was, again, a situation where I think Florida had the better scoring chances.
Was it also a big game from Bob?
I'd say Bobrovsky played really well in that early part of the game, and then after that, he made some great saves as well. But like he didn't have to like stand on his head, sort of thing. The shots were 29-26, like it was pretty even, sort of thing.
Gotcha.
He did play well, like don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like this marvelous like 40 save performance. To win the cup. Verhaeghe scores with 2:26 left in the second, and like that sealed the deal. That was game over. No, sorry. Verhaeghe threw in at the net. This is what happened. It was Reinhart who scored the third. My apologies. Verhaeghe has the puck on the near side. This goal is probably on Stuart Skinner. Verhaeghe is at like the near side hash marks, and he's going towards the blue line, and he turns around, and he just kind of throws one on net. And it's like upper blocker while Skinner is standing up. It's like almost in the shoulder, but while he's standing, like upright completely. And he kind of blockers it down, and it falls right to Barkov, who shoots it, hits Reinhart, goes in. And it's like Skinner should have just let that puck go. It would have ended up in the corner.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like it was not on net.
No.
So major gaffe on his part. I mean, I don't think them losing the series is his fault, but it didn't help.
Totally.
And then Reinhart had the two empty netters to, score 4 goals in the Stanley Cup Final Game 6. And the Panthers won.
That's brutal. Was it just a night of gaffes for the Oilers? Would you sum it up to that? They did it to themselves.
I'd say the first half of that game for sure was a kind of shot themselves in the foot. I mean,
that's brutal.
No doubt about it.
That's brutal.
Where do the Oilers go from here? Is what I was going to ask you.
Well, I was going to say, do they go goalie hunting this off season? What's up with that?
It's funny. I talked to a guy at my hockey pool who's a Oilers fan.
Yeah.
And I said something in the group chat like Skinner cost himself a lot of money in these last 2 years in the playoffs. And we talked about that like 3 or 4 weeks ago, how Skinner's only making $2.6 million. He's got 1 year left on his deal after this year, so he's going into his final year of 2.6. If he would have won a cup either this year or last year, they would have thrown a big bag of money at him. They would have given him $10 million probably. I honestly think they would have gone close to 10 mil.
Yeah.
The fact that he's now basically done what he's done in the playoffs 2 years in a row to the point where they can't actually trust him. I mean, he's only going to be making 4.5, like we kind of talked about. I think like he'll get a small raise.
Yeah.
But the guy in my hockey pool said that if he is the starter next year, there will be a riot. So it seems like the Oilers Nation. I mean, I've only talked to a few of them. That one really stood out to me, but it seems like there's a consensus they don't want him as the number one. Have him as the backup.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, dumb question. Is the goalie in hockey relatable to the quarterback in football in the sense you don't have one, you're fucked?
No.
No?
No. The Las Vegas Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup, in it was 3 years ago now.
Was that with Hill?
And that was with Hill. Yeah. And he's an average goalie. He's not, I'm not saying he's bad. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he's just, I'd say he's average. When he's really good, when he's on, he can be good. But so can Stuart Skinner. When Skinner, he'll have like a 3 or 4 game stretch where he's like the best goalie in the league. And then he just like I don't know if it's like a mental block or what it is.
Hill is on my fantasy team, so you better watch what you're saying. We need some good fucking
Well,
mojo for this season.
at least we don't count save percentage or goals against. We just count wins.
Oh, totally.
So he's a good fantasy goalie in our case because
He is
Vegas
definitely
is going to win a lot of games.
He definitely is.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the one thing that drove me nuts about learning fantasy hockey is they never announce who's gonna start until right before.
How about the injuries?
And the
That's
injuries?
another thing that pisses me off.
How vague they are.
Yeah, it's lower body injury
Yeah.
week to week, and it's like, oh, he's 3 weeks later. Yeah, he's out 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like, I would have dropped this guy fucking a month ago. Like,
No, and it's frustrating. And then who was Hill's backup? Was it Samsonov they picked up?
yeah, I think it was Samsonov.
Yeah, I fucking took him as well so that I could play both of
Right.
them off of the same team, assuming the Knights
case
are a
there's-
solid team.
In
And then
case
it's
there's
like,
an injury.
you might as well, since Hill was healthy all year, I think he had a couple small injuries out for a week.
Yeah,
But
not the play, bro.
no, definitely not the play. Definitely
you want to
not
take
the play.
another starter, even if it's for like Columbus or something like that, just in case Hill goes down. You got a starter in there. You
Yeah.
know, and Columbus might go on a fucking 3-game win streak or something, and they're 6 points.
Little straying away from the cup, but what's up with Samsonov? Because wasn't he having a decent year
He was
before he went to the Knights, and then he went to the Knights for almost league minimum. It was like an $800,000 deal.
Yeah, what's the situation there behind that?
I just thought he was having a pretty good career before that.
He was kind of like a 1A, 1B guy with the Capitals and with the Leafs. He was never like the dedicated starter. So he the most games he's played in a season is 44.
Okay.
And that was 4 years ago with the Capitals. And he was okay. Like, he wasn't great. He had 3.02 goals against average, which is not good, and an 8.96 save percentage, which is also not good. But then he went to Toronto. He played those 2 seasons in Toronto where him and Joseph Wall were kind of battling for the number 1 spot.
Yeah.
And he was pretty good in Toronto. I mean, last season, not the greatest, but the season before that, he had a 919 save percentage in 42 games. Like, he 2.33 goals against average. He was really good. He kind of had a bit of a bad season not this most recent year, but the year before with Toronto.
Yeah.
It was much like that Washington season, 3.13 goals against average, 40 games played, like, not great. But this last year, he kind of brought it back again with Vegas, but he only played 29 games. So I think he's kind of like that guy who's like, he was like maybe on the cusp of becoming a number 1, but he's not consistent enough to be like, hey, we're going to make this guy our dedicated number 1.
Gotcha.
He's good in a tandem situation, right? Like with
Yeah.
Hill and him sort of, working that, which is good for Vegas, obviously. Saves him a lot of money.
Totally. Well, either way, I'll have to switch up the goalie situation.
Yeah, unprotect Samsonov this year and go grab somebody else.
Who's your goalie?
Who do I have in that keeper league? I'm trying to remember. Oh, I got Jake Ottinger.
Oh, you do.
And I've got Swayman. But I signed. So how our keeper league works for the people out there is when we get to a free agency period, you can bid on the free agent, but then you're stuck with that free agent for as long as that contract is. So I picked up Swayman for like 3.5 mil, and he signed that 8-year deal in real life or whatever it was, 7-year deal with Boston.
Yeah.
But he had a terrible season last year.
Yeah.
Boston was not good.
No.
So I basically never played him, and now I was stuck with him, and I'm like, fuck, is Boston going to turn this shit around? Like, I'm going to be stuck with this contract for ages. I mean, it's not a bad deal. It's not like I'm paying him like $10 million a year, but still, like, I can't get rid of it.
You're kind of dependent on a Boston rebuild.
Yeah, and it needs to happen fast.
Yeah, it's got to happen fucking fast, boys.
Mm-hmm.
My fantasy depends on it.
Sam Bennett, I kind of wanted to touch on him a little bit. So he won the Conn Smythe, which was awesome to see. I was kind of hoping Brad Marchand was going to get it. Unfortunately, they gave it to Sam Bennett, but good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he did lead the NHL in goals in the playoffs. He had 15 goals in 23 games. And he also had 5 goals in the Stanley Cup final alone. So obviously well-deserved to him. But he is a free agent this season. Starting July 1st, he will be an unrestricted free agent. And this is a big question. We were talking about it before the show here tonight. Is the Panthers have 19.9, I think, million in cap space. And they have to sign Ekblad, Bennett, and Marchand if they want to keep him. I think all 3 of those guys are going to be asking for $8 million.
Yeah.
I think Marchand will probably ask for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I bet you Bennett's going to want 8 years. He'll want $8 million, 8 years. And Ekblad is probably also going to ask for $8 million, 8 years.
They've only really got room for 2 of those guys.
They do. So what do you think's going to happen? I mean, I think the easy thing here to say is Marchand's probably going to be gone. They won't fit him.
Yeah.
But I kind of like seeing him in Florida. He was good there.
Well, do you think he would take a pretty big discount just to be in the state of Florida?
No, this is another thing we were talking about is the tax-free thing, right? Like everyone kind of always brings that up, and like I get that, but I mean, he's going to get $8 million wherever he plays. So like, say he goes to California, and it's no state tax. People need to remember that. People think it's no income tax. It's no state tax. So like people are like, oh, the state tax in California is 54%, and it's like, no, that's the state and federal combined. The state tax is like closer to like 18% or something like that.
Okay.
So it's only let's call it a 20% difference. So if he goes and makes $8 million in Florida, if that's what he's asking for, a team has to pay him 8.8 for him to make the same amount of money. But if you dig into it a little bit further than that, that's not actually true because they only get state-free income tax when they play games in that state.
Yeah.
So he's got 41 games at home. Okay, well, half of his season is state tax-free. But then he goes and plays these road games where he's getting taxed 13%. He's getting taxed 18%, whatever it may be in these other states. So really, it's not actually a full 20% difference. It's only a 20% difference on, let's say, 41 of his games. And it might not even actually be that because there's still going to be games where they play in Florida, they play, in all these other places. Gotcha. But regardless, so a team like, let's say a team in California wants to sign him, they only probably have to pay him $8.5 million to be like around that same number that he would be making in Florida or he'd be making in Dallas or Nashville, that kind of thing.
So do you think that differs from sport to sport in the sense hockey, the contracts are way smaller compared to other professional sports? So that 20% might only be $800,000.
Yes. I get that.
But then you go to Shohei Ohtani, we were talking before the show.
$700 million.
10% of that is
a lot of
that's
money.
Enough to notice. Yeah, you might have $700 million.
It's $70 million that is extra that's coming off your paycheck.
Yeah.
Over a 10-year span versus him not having to pay any of that.
It's
a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel like it would be more noticeable in other pro sports too. Hockey might be different in the sense where you're being taxed the same, but end of the day, a stud in hockey's making $12 million.
Yeah.
That's like a fucking pretty low paid position in the NFL, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like a fucking backup tight end.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So, but I agree with you. I think the one thing, like if you were to look at that in baseball, I think specifically in baseball, it's probably like, Shohei Ohtani signs with the Dodgers and like, yeah, okay, he's getting taxed in California. But I think in baseball specifically, there's only a certain amount of teams that are willing to offer that kind of a contract to begin with.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to be able to sign for like the Florida Marlins, for example, aren't going to give him a $700 million deal.
No.
Like, it's their ownership's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, he's going to pay more tax, but he's also guaranteeing himself like a fucking, he's made generational times generational wealth in a 10-year period.
Yeah.
So, but you're right though. With hockey, it's less noticeable because it's a smaller amount of money. So it's like if a guy has to take like a $500,000 a year, raise or whatever to go play in California versus playing in Dallas, like I don't think that that's really impacting the salary cap as much as people think it is. Look, the Florida Panthers were terrible for like 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? Like their last time in the Stanley Cup final before this run, I think was 1996.
Ooh.
And they got smoked by the Avalanche. Like it wasn't even close. So, they've never really had like a sustained amount of like good success. And it's been state tax free ever since then. So obviously, that doesn't necessarily equal good teams. I think you also have to have a very talented management group that knows what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on it.
Also, Jacksonville Jaguars, brutal franchise.
Exactly.
Exact same situation.
Yep.
They're just a couple steps behind. They have not turned it around.
In my opinion, that argument is definitely overused. For sure. Like I think Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a difference.
No, that's a fair point when you put it that way.
So they got 19 mil in space.
What do you think they're gonna do?
So yeah, we were just.
I feel like out of the three, Bennett's the most likely to get re-signed. Would you agree?
Yes, I think Bennett for sure is going to get re-signed. I think it looks like he's asking, or they've kind of agreed. There's Elliot Friedman posted something yesterday or today. I can't remember what it was, and he said that it looks like the contract in place is 8 times 8, so he'll make $8 million AAV over an 8-year period, which is fantastic for him because I mean he's not the greatest regular season performer. I think last season I had it somewhere in my notes here. He had 51 points this season in 76 games, and I think that was his high for the last 4 years.
Damn.
So it's not like he's not an 80-point guy, so for him to make $8 million is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, totally.
And he can stay in Florida where obviously he loves it, and they seem to have a really good thing there. I think Ekblad and Marchand are the two where it's like you got to keep one of them. I would think they're going to keep Ekblad.
Yeah.
Just because he's been a lifer there. He was drafted there number 1 overall many years ago now. It would have been like 11, 12 years ago. But yeah.
Are they a respectable franchise in the sense they have some loyalties to their guys?
It seems like in the last 3 years for sure. Like that
like a culture thing almost.
Definitely a culture thing. And that's where like if Brad Marchand wants to stay there, he's going to have to take a pay cut, and they're probably going to have to make a trade.
Yeah.
I'd have to like look at their roster to see who looks tradable for them. I mean, you got Barkov at 10 for the next fucking 5 years. You got Kachuk at 9.5 for the next 5. Sam Reinhart.
What about Lundell? Tradable?
No, Lundell's an untouchable.
Yeah?
Yeah, Lundell, especially at $5 million a year, he's definitely an untouchable. He's only 23 years old, and apparently he's like known as like Barkov light. Like Barkov's 29 years old, so it's like Lundell 23, 6 years younger. Barkov's going to be 35 at the end of this contract.
Yeah.
Lundell would just be getting to 29, so it's like a perfect transition.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think if they were to get rid of a contract, they would try to move off of. I don't even know, man. It doesn't. I really don't know. There's no one on this list that I'm like, oh yeah, you'd get rid of him. Like I think they keep him. I think Marchand's gone, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think like they
just no way to fit him in.
I just don't see it. I really don't see it. I'm looking at it. So okay, maybe Verhaeghe. Verhaeghe could be a guy that they could move off of, $7 million a year if they wanted to keep Marchand. But then you're getting rid of a 29-year-old who's won back-to-back Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
For a guy that's like 36 years old, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
37 years old. So I just don't think it makes sense. I mean, if Marchand wanted to like actually win and like didn't care about the money, he could take like a couple mil.
Oh yeah.
But he's not going to do that.
No, he's kind of he's got one more contract left in him.
Exactly. He's going to go make a payday somewhere, and like he's always taken discounts with Boston too. Like that was the thing for a long time, was that Boston had him on like this sweetheart deal.
Yeah.
A lot of their guys like Patrice Bergeron, Krejci, all those guys kind of signed like hometown discounts. So I think he's going to go out there and like he'll sign a 2-year deal where he'll make big bucks. Like I think I could see him maybe in like somewhere like, I don't know, Toronto. Like, does he want to go there though? Probably not.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Maybe Carolina. I don't know. Like it's kind of weird because I don't really see him in any other jersey. Like,
do you think like he wants give or take 8 or 7?
I would say 8. I would say 8.
Do you think he would go as low as 5 or 4?
I don't think I don't think any chance.
No.
I mean, would you leave $6 million on the table?
Yeah.
Good point. I would not, especially after winning a cup. He doesn't. He's not gonna be doing the Corey Perry chasing teams around trying to win a Stanley Cup. Yeah. I think he's okay. He's won 2 Stanley Cups now. He's won one with Boston, one with Florida. I think if he wins another, he'd be like, "Hey, this is great." I don't know if he necessarily like has to. I think for him right now, it might be more important to just go get as much money as he possibly can and set himself up for retirement. I mean, an extra fucking $6-7 million over 2 years, man. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, totally. I've heard. Speaking of sweetheart deals, I was listening to Chicklets, Dylan Strome.
Yeah.
One of the biggest sweetheart deals in the NHL.
Yeah, what's he on? He's for Washington.
Yeah, he's with Washington, but for the amount of production you're getting out of that guy.
He had a great year this year. I have him actually in our keeper pool, I think.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and he was just a stud. I'd have to look at the caps and see what they're paying him.
Nice little investment from you in the keeper league.
He's only making $5 million.
Yeah.
Whew, and he's got 3 more years at that.
Does he?
Yeah, 3 more years at $5 million. So that's crazy, dude.
Fuck. They had him on for interview of the Chicklets.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, a lot of us are saying you're on one of the biggest sweetheart deals in the
oh god
in NHL. That's good for the Caps. And he was like, yeah, it might not be the thing you want to hear, but I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly, man. These guys and that's why you see a lot of guys take shorter term deals, like the bridge contracts. You see that a lot in the NBA, hey, where guy will sign a 2-year, $40 million
just betting
deal
on himself,
and he just knows I'm just gonna make more money.
Totally.
I could see McDavid doing that, and actually that's something I wanted to talk about next. We can talk about the Oilers as a whole here in a minute, but McDavid's got 1 year left on his current contract, $12.5 million. Draisaitl just started his new 8-year deal this season, so he's on $8 million. I think he's making $14 million a season for the next 7 years now still.
Mm-hmm.
Max contract that I think the Oilers can offer McDavid is $16.5 million times 8.
Holy fuck. That'd be a big one. Who has the highest contract right now?
I think it was Austin Matthews, but it might be McKinnon now.
Austin is 13,
no,
right?
No, I'm sorry. I think it's Leon Draisaitl now. I think
really.
I think this year when he hit that $14 million, let's see, Leon or most AAV or highest AAV NHL contract. Look it up.
I know Matthews is 13. I want to say.
Yeah. So, and I think Draisaitl. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this last season he just played, the one that just ended, he was still making his old deal. I think he signed that extension, and it kicks in July 1st.
Gotcha.
So it is Leon Draisaitl. He'll be making $14 million a year. He is the highest paid player in the NHL right now. Austin Matthews is number 2 at 13.2, and then you got Nathan McKinnon 12.6, McDavid 12.5. So I think McDavid's. It wouldn't surprise me if he takes 15.5 or something and takes $1 million off the top for them.
Yeah.
But also, it's Connor McDavid, man. You can fucking go play anywhere you want. You better make $16.5 million. Why not?
With them signing Draisaitl, I don't know if this makes sense, but did they accidentally fuck themselves by setting the precedent for Draisaitl that high, and then McDavid looks at that and says,
"I make him
Draisaitl's good, but I'm McDavid."
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you, dude. I think they're gonna have to pay him. I would say I bet you it's gonna be $16.5 million. Is what I'm trying to get at here. And if it's $16.5 million, that's 2 players. You got Draisaitl and McDavid that were making $20 million combined, and they're now making $30 million. I know the cap's going up, but it's not going up to that much. That's a whole nother player.
That's got to be the highest paid duo in the NHL.
100% it is. 100%.
And I feel like if they were able to get Draisaitl for 12.5, 13, then they can say, okay, look at this.
We'll give you 14.
You're in the top echelon. We're paying you like all the other superstars. McDavid's a bit better.
Yeah.
14.5 sounds good.
Yeah.
15 sounds good. You know, we'll give you an extra mil on top of him.
Yeah.
But by saying 14, it's
oof.
16 isn't too far away.
Yeah.
And Buddy deserves it.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of Oiler fans out there you got to pay him. He's the best player in the league, which I agree with. You do have to pay him.
Yeah.
But the cap situation there, it doesn't look great to me. And I was looking at this before the show. They currently are projected to have $11.96 million going into this next season. Okay, McDavid is still under contract at $12.5 for this year. But keep in mind, Corey Perry has come off the books. Jeff Skinner's come off the books. Connor Brown, Kasperi Kapanen, Trent Frederick, John Klingberg, and Evan Bouchard. And Evan Bouchard is going to probably, I bet you he commands close to $10 million, if not more than $10 million.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he makes 10.5.
And I was just doing some reading online. A lot of people are contributing Nurse's contract too much money less pieces around him.
Well,
and I know you yourself, you're not a fan of the Nurse contract.
Not a fan. And there's another reason why I think Bouchard's going to eclipse 10 million. You got a guy on the team, Darnell Nurse, making 9.25. He's a second pairing guy. Like, Evan Bouchard is going to ask for 10.5, 11, and I think he'll probably get 10.5. But there's 10.5. You're down now to 1.4 mil in cap space, and you only have 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, 2 goalies. And then next season, Stuart Skinner needs to be renewed. McDavid needs to be renewed. Evander Kane needs to be renewed. Victor Arvidsson, Adam Henrique, and some other guys that are like whatever, like depth pieces, but like those are the big ones. Evander Kane, McDavid, Skinner, Ekholm. There's another one. Ekholm comes off the books next year. Jake
and
Wallman. Yeah, so it's like I think they're in a bit of a problem right now. Like I know people like to, Oiler fans especially like to say like, oh, like it's fine, we'll figure it out. And one thing, an analogy I saw online is you don't get rid of McDavid, you just rearrange the deck chairs around him.
Yeah.
He's the deck.
Like a retool.
You just rebuild around him and Draisaitl. That Draisaitl contract to me, I mean, he's so good.
Yeah.
But
I feel like just the fact that he's with McDavid makes it such a weird situation, because how often do you have 2 of the top 3 players in the NHL on the same team?
Superstars, yeah. And then you got Bouchard too, who's really good. I mean, I wouldn't say he's like a top 5 defenseman offensively yet, but he's up there. Like, I'd say he's top 10.
Yeah, it's just weird how they have to balance it. And a Nurse, he's at 9.25 mil.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
It's killer, dude. And like that is another reason why their goaltending sucks, because they can't go out there and make a trade. Like, one thing I was seeing online is people talking about, okay, Skinner goes, let's go get John Gibson. John Gibson's, I don't know what his contract is, but it's probably going to be around, I'd say 8. I can pull it up real fast. His contract, it's 6.4 right now, but he's only got 1 more year left on that deal, and he's going to want to raise.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how are you going to fit McDavid and Draisaitl at 30?
How much room do they have next year?
Next year, with all that stuff coming off the books, I can look that up.
I think it's 23.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Next, let's see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 23, but still, you got the McDavid contract that's going to take up most of that.
Yeah. Next season, 39 projected. They got 64 million cap space. No, that's the following year. No, that is, yeah, so next year they have 64 million in cap space.
Oh, fuck.
But keep in mind, they got to re-sign Bouchard now.
Yeah.
So that's going to be 10.5. So that brings them down to, 53.
Yeah.
They're going to re-sign McDavid at, let's say, 16. So that's going to bring him down to like 37.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Evander Kane coming off the books, which is, I think, 5 or 6 right now. You got Matthias Ekholm coming off the books, which is like 4 or 5 right now.
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner's going to need a renewal. He's going to want 4 or 5 mil.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, it starts adding up quick. Like, they only have 6 players signed, and they've got 64 million in cap space. So they need to fill out 16, 17 roster spots with 64 mil. Do the math. That's not a lot of money to go around, especially after McDavid eats up 16 of that.
No, totally. And I feel like what that adds up to is the GM, once again, he's going to try and get these 3rd and 4th line sign-ins and hope that they pan out.
Yeah.
And so far, you haven't really proven to get that depth going there.
No, and I think Jake Wallman was a really good pickup for them.
Yeah.
And I think if they lose him and Ekholm next season in the same year, I think that's going to set them back.
Totally.
Because if they have to get rid of Nurse. Like that to me is like the only thing that they can do is they got to get rid of Nurse and like go get somebody else.
In the NHL, when you trade a player, does the owner have to pay out the contract?
No, it goes to the new ownership.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that contract moves with the player.
Gotcha.
And the new ownership is responsible for it.
But yeah, Wallman, they definitely got to re-sign him, dude. He's one of the big pickups this offseason.
Yeah, he's
and he's only at 3.4.
Yeah, he's sneaky good, but he'll ask for more too. Like he's 3.4 now for what, another year?
Yeah.
And, I don't know exactly what he'll ask for, but I would suspect he's going to probably ask for like 6, probably like what Matthias Ekholm's making.
Yeah.
Right now, Matthias Ekholm's making 6. He's 35 years old. Wallman's 29, kind of proven that he can be like that second pairing, like stalwart defenseman. He'll probably get 6 because the cap's going up, right?
Yeah. Was he on the Sharks his whole career?
Yeah, I think Detroit as well.
Gotcha.
Detroit, yeah, he played
just made a pit stop in San Jose?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Detroit sent him to San Jose, and if I remember correctly, it was for like fucking nothing. Like I think it was for future considerations. Like it was legitimately for nothing.
Why?
Well, at the time
Was he not developed?
Yeah, he just wasn't developed. He went to San Jose, and they're like, "Oh, this kid's like pretty good."
Huh.
And he's kind of a late bloomer, and then Edmonton picked him up this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, and he's turned into, I think, their best second pairing defenseman. I think he's better than Nurse. He's better than Brett Kulak, that's for sure. Any of these other guys on the list I'm looking at, besides Ekholm and Bouchard, he's their third best defenseman.
Oh, totally. Yeah, no, that's definitely a nice pickup. But
yeah,
either way, that's a piece they got to re-sign.
They got to re-sign, and I don't know what they're going to do in net. Like, that's where that whole Nurse contract comes in. You cannot be paying this guy who's a second pairing, 4th, 5th, 6th defenseman this much money. Like, it was a total overpay. They completely blew it. At the time, it was considered like a ridiculous contract as it is.
Why did they do that?
I have no idea. I honestly do not know.
Like, universally looked at a bad contract. Really?
Yeah, universally a bad contract. Like, I think they thought he was going to be better than he is, and he's just slow. He's just slow, and he's a good physical presence, but he's not that great in front of his own net. He's not that great in the corners. He's, I'd say he's average at best for, a fourth defenseman. I'm just looking at it. He's 30 years old. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel old now. So he'll be 35, 36 when this contract expires.
Damn. Yeah, they're stuck with him for a while.
Yeah, so who's going to want that guy at 9.25 who's 30? Like, there's no upside. He is what he is at this point.
How does it work if you cut someone in the CHL?
You can't cut them. You can only buy them out. Yeah,
really?
So, yeah, if you buy them out, then you pay a penalty, and then you have to pay that contract over X amount of years. It depends on how many years are left remaining on the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, right now, if you, like, look at buyout cap charges for the Oilers, they bought out Jack Campbell, and I think he was making $5 million times 5 years, and now they're paying a penalty. This is the second year of it, I think, and it's $2.3 million this season, 2.6 the year after that, then 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, and that's just dead money that they can't do anything with. Yeah. So that, it kind of handicaps you in that sense.
Oh, okay.
And with him, like, there's probably a buyout calculator you can do, and you can see like what his buyout would be, and I bet you it would be horrendous, especially these longer contracts. They're really bad. Yeah, look, I can do buyout clause here, and I can see on Puckpedia, if you were to buy him out, you were going to pay him for, oh my God, you'll be paying him until, so his contract ends 2029, 2030.
Yeah.
If you buy him out, you'll be paying him till 2034, 2035, so an extra 5 years.
Whew.
And it would be, it's a lot of money.
10 years from now.
Yeah. So like this year you would get $9 million in cap relief. So you'd get an $8.96 million cap relief this year. But next year you'd be paying $8.29 million in dead money.
Oh, holy fuck.
And then $9 million after that, $9 million, and then the final 5 years when you shouldn't be paying him anything, you're paying $1.1 million for 5 years. So it's like, maybe those last 5 years aren't a big deal, but that 4-year stretch where you're spending $9 million on a player that's not even in your locker room.
Yeah. Woo! You even though you just shit talked him and said he's average, if he's average, you might as well just keep him there.
He's not bad enough to buy out. Like he's fine. He's just, that contract is just bad. It's just it's not good.
Campbell, wasn't he their goalie?
Yeah, he was.
Why'd they buy him out?
Because he was terrible. He had one good season. They paid him $5 million, 5 years. I think he had a really good season in Toronto, and then they signed him as a free agent.
Yeah,
thinking that he was gonna like fix their goaltending issues, and he was like okay. And then he just kept laying eggs after eggs. And then they sent him to the minors, and he was terrible in the minors.
Really?
And then they were just like, okay, we got to get rid of this guy. Like, yeah. And then when they sent him to the minors, I'm pretty sure his contract was it was guaranteed NHL salary. So they sent him to the minors, and they were paying him $5 million a year to play in the minors.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
So yeah, he wasn't the answer, that's for sure. But I don't think Stuart Skinner's the answer either.
No, it'll definitely be an interesting offseason for the Oilers.
Yeah.
For Oilers fans, will pray that maybe they make a move.
Yeah, I don't know. They're kind of stuck, man. Like it's tough.
Does it seem like it's quite hard to pick up a goalie because the teams that find one, they just lock them up?
Yeah.
What do you want? We'll give it to you.
They're keeping them. Yeah, exactly. Or they're good for one team, and then they just don't work out for the other team. You know, different defensive structure, different goalie coach, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You see that quite often as well. But, yeah, the one thing I was thinking about is Thatcher Demko for the Canucks. He's kind of had some injury problems, and I do wonder if the Canucks would be willing to trade him to the Oilers. Like, this is total hypothetical and maybe sounds ridiculous to Canuck fans and Oiler fans, but, like, I think the Canucks could use something up front, and maybe moving him for, like, I don't know who you'd even go after. I mean, I was thinking Nugent Hopkins, but he's 32, but he's making $5 million only for the next 4 years.
It's a good contract.
It's a good contract for him, right? So that was kind of one thought I had, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there. I don't know how the Oilers are going to solve that. I think they're going to have to make a trade. They're going to have to get rid of somebody. Maybe they trade Evander Kane this year in the offseason, and then they can go and get a goalie.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think they're a little bit in tough there.
This is definitely a bit of a throwback, but what did you think of the whole JT Miller situation?
Him going to New York?
Yeah, him and Pedersen and all that.
I hated that they traded him, dude.
Yeah?
I think I mean,
You think they traded the wrong guy?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I have not been a fan of that Elias Pettersson contract since he signed it.
And it's what, 10.5?
I think it's 11.
11.
I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's 11. It's a lot of money. He's one of the highest paid players in the league. It's 11.6.
Whew.
Yeah. And so I wasn't a fan of it when they signed him to that either. Like, he had one good year.
Mm-hmm.
He's been good, don't get me wrong. But then he had like one great year, and then he signed this extension. I thought they signed it to him early.
Yeah.
Because they got it I think they got it out of the way. Like they signed him like a year in advance sort of thing. And then he regressed, and he's kind of just turned into a bit of a mental case now.
At the time, did the contract make sense?
In my opinion, no. It
was
too much. It was too much. I think like they should have waited, and they probably could have got him at like 9, 8.5, 9.
Yeah.
Some people might disagree with me on that, but like I said, he's had one really good year, and then, you know, after that he's kind of just been average, and then this last season he only had like freaking like 40 points or something crazy.
Well, I was seeing
45 points
right after they traded Miller, he went like 15 games without recording a point.
Yeah.
And Miller, you know, he obviously came from New York.
Yeah.
His
best friend plays on that team, Vinny Trocheck.
Oh, are they best friends?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
But he went there and thrived.
Yeah.
He went there and thrived.
Exactly. And the Rangers still missed the playoffs, but it wasn't because of JT Miller.
No.
I think JT Miller was a great player to have on the team, and I think if they would have kept him and traded Pettersson, they'd probably still have Rick Tocchet as their head coach.
Yeah.
I don't think Pettersson plays the Rick Tocchet kind of game, and I think that's JT Miller's game. JT Miller is that kind of like hard-nosed grinder center who's like going to go down the half boards, dig the pucks free, and we saw him do that all the time, man. Like that was how he played, and like Pettersson just doesn't he used to kind of get in the dirty areas, and he just doesn't do it anymore.
No.
This is a big year for him coming up. He needs to make something happen.
Yeah, serious bounce back.
Yeah, it has to be, because I think the Canucks basically have lost their opportunity to trade him. His no movement clause kicks in July 1st this year. So they've got
2 weeks.
Yeah, they could still trade him. They're not going to. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, he's their guy now. But yeah, the Canucks, man, I hated that trade when it happened. I thought they should have got rid of Pettersson. I was a big JT Miller fan.
Yeah.
And I just like the way he played, and that's something the Canucks haven't had in a long time as a player like that. And then they got rid of him because of a squabble between two players. I mean, you know what the rumor was that Pettersson showed up to camp out of shape.
Really?
Yeah, he showed up to camp way out of shape, and like Miller was pissed about that. And then so he was like on his case like all season about that.
Well, and I hear that he was going at him hard because he I don't know exactly how to word this, but I heard one of the rumors was that he found out that Pettersson wasn't exactly totally straight, so he just kept calling him like faggot and stuff like that.
I did not hear that. Cannot confirm that.
Cannot confirm that, but that's
confirm that.
That's that Twitter talk, boys.
That reminds me of the Mark Messier thing back in the day with the Canucks.
What?
This
What was
is
that?
before your time, I guess, but Mark Messier got traded to the Canucks and whatever, and then it was like a year or 2 years. I think it was a year after he had played here. Pavel Bure left, basically forced his way out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And the rumor was that Mark Messier maybe had done something to Bure at like a after party or event sort of thing. Something
Really?
some sort of sexual harassment situation.
Damn, buddy was a bit frisky.
Yeah, apparently. And I mean, Pavel Bure, like hardcore Russian. Like, that's a big fucking no-no.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I mean, that's a no-no to anybody, regardless if you're straight or gay or whatever,
Regardless if you're Russian or not.
But if you're fucking Russian, you're super conservative. And so, anyways, that was a rumor that was going around. I don't, I mean, it's another fucking rumor. Like, these are just bullshit
We're
fucking
doing
things.
some podcast investigating right now.
Yeah, right? I'll have to check with my sources on that one.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't hear that. I think it was, from what I saw and what I heard, it was that Pettersson showed up to camp super out of shape.
Damn.
Yeah, and
he got his contract and he was good.
Yeah, exactly. And Miller was not fucking happy about that. And like you can tell Miller's like a competitive, like he's super competitive person. Like,
well, as a Miller fan, you are happy that he went to New York. You know that he wants to be there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was the one place he wanted to go. I wasn't happy with the return they got for the trade, but whatever.
And New York, only reason they missed the playoffs was because they had some bad luck this year, especially with injury.
Yeah,
like Adam Fox.
Yeah.
He was, I know because he's my fucking first defenseman on my fantasy league, but he was out for a couple months, and then he came back, and he was just out for so long, and he came back so late in the year that he stepped back into the number one role, but you could tell that he was out of shape. He wasn't playing 100%.
Yeah.
And for a guy like Adam Fox, like he's your number one defenseman, number one on the power play.
Exactly. It'd be like the Canucks losing Quinn Hughes and him coming back like 3 steps behind everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then he gets hurt again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. The Canucks will have an interesting offseason as well, and obviously we can talk about this as the weeks kind of roll on here. Now that we're rolling into the summer, NHL draft is next Friday and Saturday, so we'll have some stuff to talk about next week about that. But yeah, we should definitely talk a little bit more maybe about transactions. July 1st is coming up quick. There's some free agents out there. I'll be interested to see what happens. Dallas is a team that I'm watching as well. They're kind of in a bit of a cap crunch. They signed Matt Duchene to a 4-year, $4.5 million contract this week, an extension. So he's taking a big pay cut to stay in Dallas. But even with that, they've kind of screwed themselves with cap space. They only have, I think, $2.7 million in cap space. So they're we're gonna see, like, Jamie Benn is a UFA, Dadonov's a UFA, Granlund's a UFA. So there's not a lot of money to go around there. There was a rumor going around that the Stars were shopping Jason Robertson because he's an RFA next season.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's like a crazy player to come up with. He's 7.75 right now. He's an RFA next year, so so the team still has the rights to him, but they'll need to re-sign him, and he's going to want big money. Like, he's going to want over 10 for sure, so he'll want to raise.
Damn.
And they just don't have the money for it. So we'll see what happens with the Stars as well. That's definitely a team I've kind of been keeping my eye on.
I assume Rantanen took up a lot of space when they got him.
Yeah, and he just took a raise of $12 million. that starts this season coming up. So he's getting paid, and then I mean they could try and move Sagan out, who's making 9.85, but he's
pretty old now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 35. He's got a no movement clause, so he would have to agree to the contract or the trade. He doesn't strike me as someone that teams are going to want to pay 9.85 to.
Yeah.
So like I think they would have to like probably give up something to get rid of that contract, kind of like the Nurse situation. But yeah, Dallas is definitely another team that I've kind of been interested to see how this offseason goes.
Yeah, they sound like they've got a lot of movement that could happen. I feel like them picking up Rantanen is them basically saying bye to Robertson.
I think so as well. I think it's like, okay,
they didn't make that trade not thinking about the salary cap implications next year, let alone re-signing him.
Of course. And they can get a big haul for him too. Like if they trade Robertson,
he has one more year left?
This is his final year coming up, yeah. So
gotcha.
He'll be a restricted free agent next July 1st.
Gotcha.
And then the year after that, he's actually a UFA. So whichever team signs him is going to want to sign him to a longer-term deal. If the Stars don't keep him, which, again, I don't think they will be able to unless they can somehow get rid of Sagan.
I just learned today that if you own the rights to a player, you can sign him for 8 years, and every other team can only sign him to 7.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. That's that benefit.
Do you know why that is?
It was put into the CBA, and I think it's to encourage the players to like stay with the team. Like if a team, it would suck to like have a player that you drafted and you've kind of like had for so long, and then you offer him $7 million, another team offers him $7 million, and he's just like, I'm going to go to the other team. Yeah. So at least in this situation, you can offer that player an extra year at, let's say, $7 million like we're talking about. And that kind of gives them incentive to stay with the club that's either drafted them or traded for them, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's to prevent players from just kind of like walking out the door.
Gotcha. Just more extra incentive for those foundation players.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you're never going to see like an average Joe player get signed to an 8-year deal. Like it's obviously, right? Like it's that's reserved for the guys that or you want to keep around.
Yeah.
So it gives them a little bit more negotiating power. Like, it ends up being a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of the times that contract, when it expires after 7 or 8 years, they're 35 or 36 years old, these players, and odds of them making $7 or $8 million contract and like signing a 1-year deal with someone at that age, pretty low, right? Like they're kind of on like the downward trend of their career. They're not going to be as effective.
Yeah,
they're probably going to sign like a smaller deal. So for them, it's like, oh, it's a no-brainer. I'll take that 8th year at fucking $7 million or $8 million. Like I'm not going to make that when I'm 36.
Yeah.
There's obviously special cases where, like a McDavid or something, when he gets to that age, I'm sure he's still going to be making big dollars unless something drastic happens to him. But anyways, it is kind of a cool rule though, hey?
Yeah, totally.
Do you want to talk any football? I think that's kind of all I've got for the NHL this week, and then we can talk draft next week.
Last NHL question I got, who do you think's going number 1? Schaefer?
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be Schaefer for sure.
Yeah.
This year, I think so. I mean,
so he'll be with the Islanders?
Yeah, and they'll, they need a player like that, so it's good for them. It's a consensus. My question this year is like that 8 to 12 range this season. Apparently, I was reading some stuff online, and I have to do more digging into the draft this year, but they were saying like that 8 to 12 is kind of like a bit muddled. They're not really sure which players are going to go where, but they know like it's going to be these players. And then after that, once it hits 13, 14, it kind of just drops off a cliff.
Yeah.
So the Canucks have 15th overall pick, and from what I heard, like they tried to offer that to Minnesota to get Marco Rossi this week, and it was declined. And supposedly it's because that 15 or 14 and onwards draft picks, it's kind of just a crapshoot.
Really?
It's like
noticeable drop off.
Yeah, it's like top potential is like someone to become like a middle 6 player sort of thing. Like, maybe third line, maybe second line at best.
Yeah.
But like those first 12 guys are like, could be, like your first couple guys, superstar potential. And then it's like first line, second line guys. And then, it's like kind of like, you're maybe taking a risk on a guy who's like a third rounder or maybe going to be a third liner in like 3 years.
Gotcha.
And Minnesota's just like, no.
So those middle to late first round picks basically have lost value this year.
Big time. Yeah, big time from what I've read.
Wow.
Yeah, so NFL, do you want to talk a little NFL? We got maybe another 5-6 minutes here, or we can wrap it up, do some gambling, even though there's not much to gamble on, is there?
Hey, I won some CFL bets this week.
Actually, yeah. So let's talk some NFL if you want to.
And
then I have actually a WNBA thing to mention.
Oh.
Which is super random, but I'll bring it up.
Hey, you also you owe the viewers and myself an apology.
Why? What happened?
You said that you would give a Desmond Lacey update, and last week you forgot to give it.
The Desmond
Let's
Watson.
hear it.
Desmond
Watson. Let's fucking hear it.
Tampa Bay's defensive tackle. So I saw an interview with him 3 weeks after the draft. He weighed in at the draft, or he didn't go to the combine, but he did like the workouts.
Yeah.
I don't really know how that works. Is the combine like just a specific thing, and then the workouts are just like supervised or something?
No, I think he went to a pro day, which is like college combines.
Okay. So he weighed in at 464 pounds, and 3 weeks after the draft, he's weighed in at 430 pounds. So he's dropped 35 pounds in 3 weeks.
Damn.
And this was a couple weeks ago now, but I haven't seen an update since. But what he did say is that he wants to get down to 365, and he thinks that I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers said that's where they want to kind of get him to, which would still put him as the biggest lineman in the NFL on either side of the ball.
That's crazy.
So he's got to lose another 60, 70 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to play this year. I think he'll probably be practice squad.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets in for some random stuff. But he's definitely not going to be an everydayer. But if he can get to 365 at 6'7", that's a big dude.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That's a big dude.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But he looked good on the videos I saw. Like, he doesn't look out of place. Like, he's out there hustling, and like
nice.
It's not like he looks like he's like he shouldn't be there. Like,
he's not looking slow.
No, he looks good for like a 430 pounder.
You got everyone needs to tune in for the rest of his career. We're doing a Desmond Watson career tracker.
Career update. I'm liking that. I hope he makes the team, man. I would love to see him take a snap.
Oh,
and
totally.
if he does take a snap this year, I'm bringing it up on fucking pod.
Oh, fucking right.
Fucking right.
Biggest cheer squad.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah. Well, that's a fun update. Thank you for the update, Matt.
Yeah, for sure.
That is very exciting.
What do you got on the NFL side of things?
The Bengals are some broke-ass bitches.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that, and then maybe we can wrap it up after that. That's because there's obviously a lot of OTA storylines, but we can talk that in the future. We can go next week on that even.
But the whole Bengals situation is friggin' crazy. Do you know anything about it?
So I saw that I was keeping like a little bit up to date on it. What's the rookie's name that they're
Shamar Stewart?
Shamar Stewart, thank you. So Shamar Stewart is holding out because of language in his contract.
Yeah.
And it sounds like every other team offers their rookies this certain language in the contract that makes it like a guaranteed contract essentially.
Yeah.
And the Bengals want to make it so, and this is like unprecedented, they want to make it so that if he gets injured or for whatever reason, they aren't on the hook for his contract.
Yeah, trouble with the law.
Right.
Exactly. And
that's right.
And the way they also worded it is if he plays for 2 years, makes a couple $1 million, and then breaks his leg, never plays again, he also owes back the money that was paid to him in the first 2 years.
That's insane.
That is.
So you want to work for free, possibly for 2 years?
Yeah.
In a sport? Like, get fucked.
No, it's absolutely crazy, unprecedented. Bad look for the Bengals franchise. And the crazy part is with the Trey Hendrickson thing that they got going on, his holdout.
Yeah.
They drafted Shamar Stewart, and it was either going to go two ways. Way number one, okay, Trey Hendrickson holds out, we trade him. You're our new DN1.
Yeah.
Way number two, somehow they do make amends with Hendrickson. Okay, Mr. Stewart, you're going to follow Hendrickson. If he eats this way, you eat this way. If he ties his shoes this way, you tie your shoes this way.
Yeah, exactly.
You are going to learn everything you can from him. but now they don't have fucking either of them.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about this whole draft, or not this whole draft, this whole situation is he can go back to the draft, Shamar Stewart.
So I did see that. Yeah, he has like some loophole that they're looking at that can basically make him re-eligible.
Yeah, if he doesn't sign all year, he can declare for the next NFL draft, and he can be picked by 31 teams. The Bengals are not allowed to pick him next year. And the other part to this is because he's technically not a Bengal. He hasn't signed anything. He hasn't agreed to anything, so he's not getting fined at all.
Oh, you told me about that. That's right. Yeah. So he's not showing up to camp, and he doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and he's obviously losing wages this year.
Mm-hmm.
But with how grimy the situation is, it's like just such a bad fucking look for the Bengals, man.
Well, he probably made decent money on NIL in the NCAA, I would assume. So it's like he's
Totally.
probably not clamoring for money. Like he's, obviously like, he wants to get his NFL contract, but he's not. It's not like he's poor.
Yeah, he's got money in the bank to get through the year. But no, just a crazy situation out of the Bengals, and I feel like the thing that makes it even worse is the whole Trey Hendrickson situation.
Right.
They entered the offseason.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah, they entered the offseason in talks with him, and I forget where it was. It was like a month ago, and he said that since the season's ended, they've completely ghosted him and just left the contract on the table that he's said no to. Like
they're not even trying to negotiate. Wow.
No, they haven't even made an attempt to contact him by the sounds of it.
That's crazy.
So brutal look for the Bengals, mom and pop franchise.
What is so your good buddy Liam, friend of the show, what's his thoughts on it? You picked his
He
brain?
thinks it's fucked.
Yeah.
He thinks it's fucked.
And I think most Bengal fans do, from what I've read online too.
Oh, totally. No, that's just one of those brutal franchises to cheer for, man.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I think Mike Brown's the owner.
Yeah.
Giving off very broke billionaire energy. Like, fuck, come on.
So I got one thing to mention just in regards to gambling. We usually do a pick here at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, no hockey on. Maybe do a little baseball. I was telling you about the baseball bet before the show, just trying to like bet on first inning, no runs scored.
Yeah.
And that usually pays out pretty decent and hits pretty good. But it's a fun one too, because like you don't have to watch a whole baseball game. You can watch that first inning, sit down, and be done. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, cool. But I saw a clip online, and I don't have the podcast. But there's a podcast out there that's doing a WNBA bet every game. Have you heard of this yet?
What, miss the first shot?
Yeah. It's Angel Reese missed the first shot. And these guys went like 7 in a row where they won. Yeah. Every single one. And then she hit one like the next game, and then they won like 4 more straight.
That's crazy.
Dude, and I was trying to look on Bet365, but I couldn't find like miss the first shot on Bet365, so I'm not sure if that bet's available here. But my buddy started doing it too, and he was making bank. Like,
damn.
Yeah. So
have you seen I don't know if it's a majority or not, but it's pretty close to 50%, but almost all of her rebounds, like up to 50%, are from her.
Really?
Are from her missed shots.
Oh
it's something I forget what it was, but it's something like 40%, dude.
Dude, what's I don't watch or follow the WNBA at all. 0% interest.
There's a crazy beef going on.
So okay, this is the only thing I know is Caitlin Clark comes into the league, #1 overall draft pick. She like gets a big contract. She's coming out of college, where I think she was coming off of like a record like NIL deal as well for women. And like the league just like hates her.
All of them chicks in the league hate her, man.
Which is so weird to me, because she's bringing eyeballs to your sport, and now you guys are gonna get paid more. So maybe like, show a little respect.
Bro, have you seen the videos of like Brittany Griner?
No.
Motherfucking Brittany Griner's calling
Forgot about her.
Yeah, fucking Mike the gorilla over there is calling her like a dirty white girl and shit, and you can see it on the fucking video during the game.
Oh my god.
And it's like,
I thought didn't she get arrested in fucking Russia or some shit?
Yeah, the fucking US traded
Sorry, a
arms
fucking terrorist.
merchant. Yeah, fucking arms merchant for Brittany Griner, so
Great deal. Great
yeah.
deal.
With the first round pick, the United States has selected Brittany
I
Griner.
think the that'd be like the equivalent of the Canucks trading like Quinn Hughes for like a fucking used washing machine.
Trade him for Skinner Stewart.
Not even.
Not even,
bro. A bag
Totally.
of pucks.
But yeah, no, there's just some crazy beef there, and
That's crazy, man.
and Clark and Angel Reese, it goes all the way back to college, and fucking
I did see that LSU.
yeah, and I saw some crazy hater stat.
Yeah.
And Angel Reese is talking about people come to games to watch me.
Mm-hmm.
People come to games to watch me.
Mm-hmm.
Their average attendance was like 7,000 people. And then when the Indiana Fever, who Caitlin Clark's team is, when they played the Chicago Sky, their attendance went up to almost 20,000. That's the Caitlin Clark hype.
Coming to see you play Angel Reese.
Totally. But no, the WNBA getting some fucking attention lately. That's
Yeah,
kind of funny you brought it up.
It is kind of funny. Yeah. Well, so I thought that bet was hilarious, man. I was like, oh my God, that is fucking so WNBA. Like, all respect to the WNBA and the players there, but like that fucking that bet is just hilarious.
That's a good bet. That's a good bet.
I think we'll call it there.
Yeah. Good
Next
episode,
week,
boys.
Yeah, next week you want to talk.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, you want to talk draft next week, NHL draft.
Yeah, we'll maybe record Saturday, do a draft recap.
Sounds good. We may have a special guest next week.
We might.
All right.
Might. It'll be a surprise, people.
All right, a little maybe Toronto special next week.
Yeah, get a little Toronto recap, see where they go from here.
That'll do it here for episode 7 of Couchside Sports. As always, I am Matt Parnell, joined alongside by Lucas Fanslaw. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to follow us on Spotify and hit the subscribe and like on YouTube.
Facebook
as well.
Let's go, boys.